Well, I don't know the laugh or cry, but somewhere out there is my drone. Hey guys, Scott from Adrenaline Adventures here. Thank you for watching and welcome to my new studio. I made this studio because I had a trip that did not go as planned and I was getting ready to delete all my footage from it because there just wasn't enough to really make a video with. And before I did that, I thought if I could only explain some things, maybe I can make a worthwhile video and kind of maybe make a lesson out of it for everybody that when things don't go well, you got to just put it behind you, and it's going to happen. If you're going to do adventures, if you're going to do trips, if you do enough things, eventually you're going to have one of those where just nothing goes right. So this trip was supposed to be one of the highlights of our summer. Pierce and I were really excited to do this race. It was a 3-day stage mountain bike race that was meant to be epic. So there's a huge line. We just started the registration. Everyone's dropping off their bikes, and they go on a truck, and they get put on a train for tomorrow, and they get shipped along with us 2 hours up to the start of the race. So we're just going to wait in line here and go have a beer after we're done all this. This is how they all got to get packaged up and put on a train. So me and Pierce are going to walk this to the brewery, load it on a truck, and next time we see this will be at the start of the race.
Box?
No, we don't need a box. We're all good. This is how all the bikes get shipped to the train, so next time we'll see these will be at the start of the race. Hopefully. Alright, you got that out of your system? Matt's always timing it perfectly, right? It's a 2 coffee morning.
You got donuts in there and the flares.
Oh yeah? I may have to look into that. So this is a view of the lake that I saw when I got my camera out. Behind all these trees.
If I had got it.
Oh yeah, here we go. You had this feeling like you were taking this train into the middle of a remote wilderness, which we were. The train was running a little bit late, so we got a late start to the race. I think we started around noon. So the thing was, the train stopped. It didn't stop at the right location according to organizers, but that didn't really affect much. We got out, everybody put their bikes together, and we got to the start of the race, and the start of the race started well. Well, the train did not break down. This is how we got off the train. And you can see the bikes starting to be unloaded up front.
Seems like we're in the middle of nowhere.
It does kind of seems like a bad joke, doesn't it? We signed up for what?
You paid how much?
Exactly. So, let's see where we go from here. So it's a mad dash for everybody to put their bikes together. We're literally in the middle of nowhere.
I need people to help unload down here, please.
Yeah, that's fine, right on. Getting ready to start the race. Everybody's lining up. Ready to go, buddy?
Oh yeah.
All right, finally, we got our 2-hour train ride. Got our bikes put together, dropped off on the train tracks in the middle of nowhere, and now we're getting ready to start the race. So it's going to be like, it's already almost noon, and it's going to be probably 7 hours of riding for us anyways. Probably some of the faster riders more like 5. So we'll see how this goes. A lot of logging rolls right now and ATV trails. Just grinding along, no single track yet. And just going to try it. There's Josh. Yeah, so we're just grinding along. I don't know where my helmet's crooked. Anyways, yeah, it's great so far. All's going well. I don't know, where are you, 20K, Josh?
I got 19 exactly.
Yeah, it's about 20K into it, and this has so far been pretty easy. So there's a lot of these crossings in Crank the Shield, just by the geography where we are. Go for a bike ride, Dad. They say it'd be fun, Dad. Let's go, Jenners!
Yeah. I just found out I was the very first registrant for this.
It's all down. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah. I sure hope so.
Good job, guys. What I expected, a lot of climbing, mainly ATV trails. I've had to ring my headband out a few times, so very tough climbing, but nice and dry, good conditions. Haven't seen Pierce in a while. I think he's far ahead of me, so I guess I'm a proud dad that way. Good to see a young guy giving her. I guess hopefully I can catch up. So some of the trails we got to go up on. Some of them just, it's better to walk. Hike a bike.
No shame in hiking a bike.
No, there's not. No, there's not. I missed it. One of the happiest guys on the race.
I can't wait for the ride home.
Started to fall apart for me about midway through the day, which was the decision that I think the organizers would probably definitely regret if they had to do it again. They had the best intentions. They wanted all the riders to make it up the top of this particular mountain, which was this very, very steep peak where, quite frankly, it was just not rideable. And that's okay. There's sections of this race that you know are going to be hike-a-bike, and no matter the strongest riders were hiking their bike up this ATV trail. So we got to the top of the ATV trail, and by this time, bad things were starting to happen. And I felt bad for Pierce because him and a group of riders missed a turnoff. And again, I'm going to offer some critiques to the race organizers, is that it was not marked very well. Dozens and dozens of people missed this turnoff. So Pierce and his group of riders, I think there was a dozen riders, and he was the youngest. So he told me later, Dad, I just followed everybody else. They missed the sign to turn left, and they, I think, did another 12 kilometers. So by this time, I thought Pierce was well ahead of me. As it turned out, and luckily actually, as it turned out, he ended up catching up to me, and we were hiking our bike up the top of this mountain. And when we got to the top, this is where things started to fall apart. There was supposed to be an aid station up there, which means water and snacks and that sort of thing. And it was a pretty hot day. So we got to the top, and unfortunately, maybe it was just a small window, but there was no water at the aid station, which was very tough to take, and it was very disappointing, but we got past that. So I'm like, okay, no water. We're up here. It's a nice view. I'm going to get my drone out at least and fly it around and get some good footage. So here's a picture of me and Pierce posing for our drone. We're pretty tired. Like, again, disappointed there's no water at the top of the mountain here where the aid station is supposed to be. So Pierce is doing his best to smile for the drone footage. And anyway, so I got the drone up. And then I've had this drone for almost a year. Feel I know how to fly pretty well. Threw it out, take some scenery shots, and the screen went like this, and that was it. I never had that happen before. We waited around well past when the battery would have died, and I just had to accept the fact that my drone was somewhere in the treetops. And so that was really disappointing. But you know what? When bad things happen in a race like this or any sort of trip, you just shake it off and say there's no point worrying about it now. And that's when things got to go from bad to worse. I told Pierce, okay, let's go enjoy the downhill single track that we were looking forward to. And unfortunately, and again, I think the organizers would admit, the downhill single track was not rideable. It was really bad. And I think they had the best intentions to make some good epic. The potential was there for it, but unfortunately, you just can't carve out some single track over some really dangerous boulders. So you can see this footage here. You know, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm just trying to show how dangerous this is. Yeah, like this is, if these guys are going to run this race and say they're single track, this is everybody had to hike a bike up, and there's 20 people walking their bikes down because this single track is too dangerous. This is terrible. This is a joke. So it's very frustrating to have to. This is not safe, and nobody is biking down this. This poor guy, he's coming up, but yeah, this guy almost killed himself. I mean, people were hitting boulders, and because of there were switchbacks, which means the trail goes back and forth like a snake, some people were knocking boulders that were rolling down the hill and just missing riders on the lower portions of the trail. So, to say this has been a disappointment, it's a bit of an understatement. Hiking ATV trails, horrible single track, gravel roads, to 8 stations that have no water. I couldn't be more disappointed with this race. It's not sour grapes. We're ahead of a lot of people, but it's just I can't believe how poorly run it is this year. So I know that comes across as angry and pretty harsh, but again, I wanted to show you this footage because it's unfiltered. It's what I was feeling at the time. I was recording that, and I want to make this an honest video so that you get something out of it. I don't want my channel to be videos that have been edited and they're soft. Like everything's good, everything's rosy, everything goes well all the time. I never offer constructive criticism on anything. All my products that I use are fantastic. I don't want to get into that, so I want to make sure that if you watch this and I'm giving you some sort of negative feedback on something, that it means something, because in my mind, that's my opinion. So this footage, I mean, I watched it over, and again, it seems harsh, and I don't want to criticize the organizers of the event because, like I said, I do have a lot of respect for them. But at the time, that's truly how I felt. Like I was that angry, that disappointed. Watching that video clip of Pierce and Andy hike up, we were so exhausted by that point. And you might watch that video clip and you think, well, you know, how come they're not riding up there? That is literally after 8 hours of mountain biking, and that is a steep incline. And what makes it even harder is it's not like you're riding on asphalt. You are riding on softball size boulders that, you know, it's tough riding. When we first started out, you know, you can get up that sort of stuff. But after at the end of the day, you're just exhausted. Just nobody was riding up that sort of stuff. So I put that footage in there, so I want you to know like how bad it really was. Like there was nothing left in the tank. And on top of that, my night only got worse from there, and my morning and the next day were nightmares as far as thinking that I lost my gear and that sort of stuff. So I lost track of some of my gear, and for a good 12-hour stretch, thought that not only did I lose my drone, thought I lost about $2,000 worth of camera equipment that I just couldn't afford to go missing. So I was pretty distraught, and I had a really rough 24 hours. So I guess the point of this video is to say that, hey, you know what? I do a lot of these trips, and even I know when to just wave the white flag. Luckily for me and Pierce is that we spent 4 days hiking before this mountain bike race. We had an absolutely fabulous trip, and it's kind of funny how it worked out, because the hiking trip was just kind of an afterthought where, hey, if we're heading up in that area, why not do some hiking before the race and, you know, just take advantage of the scenery while we're up there. And luckily for us that we did that, because when we got home, we didn't dwell on the mountain bike race not being that great. We really could just kind of enjoy the memories that we had on our hiking trip, which was fantastic. And now that we've had, you know, days and weeks to think about the mountain bike race and talk over with friends, there were 6 of us that went on the race. You know, we can laugh about it now. Like any trip that turns into a ridiculous adventure, usually once it's all said and done, those are the ones you remember over some beers and you laugh about, and you know, you just shake your head, I can't believe that happened, or I can't believe that happened. So this certainly was one of those events. Particularly, I'll probably be back next year to redeem myself, and I might go looking for my drone too. I might have to bring my backpack and do some hiking. Give it another shot, because there's a fun time to be had there. I think the organizers are going to iron out all the wrinkles that came up in this new event. Again, it was a new location, so they did have a lot of challenges that way. But the potential for that race to be very fun, very epic, it's there. So again, as my channel evolves, I'm really excited about having the studio, and there's going to be times where I'm going to want to discuss gear during my trips and discuss things that, quite frankly, I'll probably just forget about while I'm in the moment on the trip. So it's going to be nice to be able to come back here and maybe discuss it or add some more information in after I watch the video and think, oh, I really wish I could have told you guys this, or I really wish I could have told you guys that. So yeah, who knows where it's going to go from here. Maybe we'll do some gear reviews and some stuff like that. I am excited about the next little while, the next few months. I have some fun trips planned, and there'll be some videos coming up. That I mean, the fall is the best time of year for me. I just love it. If you're in the United States and you're in the Midwest or you're in Ontario, September, October, November, my absolute favorite times of year. So I have lots of things planned. Again, I want to tell you that the idea of this video is to say, hey, if you haven't gone on a lot of crazy trips or adventurous trips, if you haven't gone on a lot of adventurous trips and the first one you go on doesn't go well, do not let that deter you. Learn from it. Yeah, this is just to tell you, get out there. Don't worry if things go bad. Eventually it's going to. Don't let it deter you from getting outside and doing things and challenging yourself. I do a lot of races, but I never consider myself in contention to win any of those. I don't consider the success of the race, whether I win or lose, strictly it's a personal challenge. It's something that I like to challenge myself with. If I know that I have an event and I'm committed to it, it means I got to get out and train. It's so easy to not maybe go for a bike ride and not work out if you really don't have anything that you're committed to. But all of a sudden, when you pay that registration and you mark that day on the calendar, you're going to be surprised that you're going to get out and you're going to go paddling, or you're going to go cycling, and you're going to go running, and you're going to work harder for it than you would if you didn't really have anything on the calendar. So I highly suggest doing that. Continue to watch. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.